Before Genghis Khan came to power, Mongolia was divided into a series of tribes and clans. Now, some of them, just to name a few, you had the Merkit, who are famous because they captured Genghis Khan's wife. You had a couple Christian tribes, like the Karaites in the south, and the Ongud, just next to the Great Wall. You also had the Tartars, who were often fighting against Mongolian tribes and allied with the Manchurians, and many more. Now these made up the Kamag Mongol. Now this was a loose confederation that sometimes united behind an elected Khan. For instance, in the 12th century, Kabul Khan, Genghis Khan's great-grandfather, had united the tribes in order to fight the Jin dynasty. This confederation emerged when the Liao dynasty collapsed in the early 12th century. Now the Liao dynasty stretched from Korea until Central Asia, and especially under leaders like Abaoji, they were instrumental in creating some important aspects of Mongolian life. For instance, they built city walls and warehouses. They also started accepting rulers based on blood rather than merit, and they were able to rule over both nomads and farmers. Of course, the Mongol Empire took advantage of these developments when they were creating their empire. But anyway, the Liao dynasty were ruled by the Khitans, but nobody knows who the Khitans were or where they came from. They spoke their own language, but many people believe that they spoke Mongolian beforehand, but some argue that they were Turkic or even Siberian, but nobody knows. And this occurs a lot within Mongolian history before Genghis Khan. Nobody knows where the Mongols came from. Well, I should say they don't know where the people who ruled over Mongolia came from. But anyway, before the Liao dynasty in the 8th and 9th century, you had the Shiwei in the east. Now the Shiwei were made up of Tatars, Mongols, and Eastern Siberians, whereas in the west you had the Uyghur Khanate, and the Uyghur Khanate was Turkic. But despite being Turkic and controlling a lot of Central Asia, the Uyghur Khanate had its capital in central Mongolia. But anyway, the Uyghur Khanate, to come to power, overthrew another Turkic empire, the Turkic Khanate, which ruled a large empire once again from the 6th to the 8th century. Now the Turkic Khanate was made up of Gok Turks, and these once again have a very disputed origin. And they overthrew, to come to power, they overthrew the Roran Khaganate. Now the Roran Khaganate was made up of proto-mongols, essentially Mongols before the Mongols. And once again, nobody knows where they really came from. But before the Roran Khaganate there were two states, Xianbei, which ruled from like the 1st century AD until about the 3rd century AD, and Xiongnu, which ruled from about the 3rd century BC to the 3rd century AD. But these were made up of an unknown ethnicity. Some speculate they could be Scythian, or Iranian, or Turkic, or anything really. And if any of you have seen the Disney movie Mulan, the Xiongnu in that movie were the bad guys, although they were described like Huns in the movie. But because they're probably not Huns, but we don't know what they were exactly, so it's as good a guess as any. So, in short, before Genghis Khan there were a lot of empires in Mongolia, but we don't really know their ethnicity or their origin.